a man! I was the man of tomorrow, not him!
These videos are not for children. If you are a children, then piss off.
Hey there, what's going on, guys? I'm Infuso, and here with me is not just my black friend, but everyone's black friend Alan, and we're here to give you our picks for the best Lex Luthors. Now, I asked Alan to come up with 5, but I found that to be a feat that I could not do. I have 4 on my list, so, yeah. I guess you should probably start, because, you know, number-wise. Go ahead.
Alright, so my number 5 pick is Jesse Eisenberg.
Get the fuck out of my house.
Damn it, leave.
I can't believe... I was feeling good until you just said that. Are you serious?
Oh, shit. He's my number 5 pick.
I bring people on here with the worst takes. I'm currently editing a Joker video where me and Reyes sat down and gave our 5 best Jokers, and he did the same shit that you're doing now, and that's why you guys are the exact same. Alright, I said 5 best Jokers. He goes, okay, my number 5th? Jared Leto. Like, why do I have you here? Why are you here?
Well, hold on. So he puts him at the bottom of the list, and you still have a problem with that?
Yes!
He's still at the bottom of the list!
Jesse Eisenberg, he shouldn't be on the list. Notice that I know that Jesse Eisenberg played Lex Luthor, and I still didn't have a number 5 pick.
Listen.
I thought better of including him.
Listen. Jesse took his own approach to Lex.
Right? Jesse was a very great Riddler. If only that's the character he was hired to play.
Listen. He took his own take to Lex. He took a new age, younger Lex. All right, you know, he wanted to give us something different, a fresher take. But no, I thought it was different. Yes, that joke is clearly there. Like, oh yeah, he would have been a great Riddler. But I feel like it was something different, and even seeing him fully, like, with the full look at the end of Justice League when, like, he's meeting with Deathstroke, I kind of said, like, I would love to see this guy now, like, in his full realize, like, bald head, you know, everyone knows that you're this asshole, you know, full-on manipulator, like, kind of, you know, see his take, like, fully realized and stuff. And we're not going to see that.
If only he played the role that he was, you know, paid to play.
You know, if you're just going to come up here and, like, just make fun of all my picks,
I mean, if all your picks are this bad, then yeah.
I'm just not going to stand for this.
Well, then you can run away. You don't have to stand for it.
Give me your number 5 pick. Because you don't have a number 5 pick.
Casting Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor was like one step... I can't tell if it's one step below or one step above casting Michael Cera to play Bane.
It was an inspired choice. All right?
I'm going to kill the bat.
It was an inspired choice.
No, it's not. My number 4 pick is going to be Clancy Brown. Because I think he did a phenomenal job. He really, you know, showcased the character that, you know, everybody knows. You know, there was a certain... You know, he was always in control of all the situations he found himself in, even when he wasn't. He had a very commanding presence, and he was kind of like... He gave you the feeling that this is a guy who is very powerful. So
we definitely are going to have differing lists.
Oh, is Clancy not on your list? Is Clancy higher on your list?
He's definitely higher.
Okay.
My next one, now I had to go look up this guy's actual name to get it correctly. Mark Rolson. And he was the Lex Luthor on Young Justice. Now,
okay. I'm not insanely familiar with that. So
with that version of Lex.
Yeah.
No. I put him on the list because he that's definitely a character going into Young Justice that I didn't think was like, oh, I saw him in one episode, like, oh, Lex is he's just here, like, to let you know it's Lex Luthor. But they made him a recurring character. And his portrayal of Lex, I personally like, because it was a Lex that, was in control, but also you don't get to see this as often, a Lex that's working with other people and stuff. But he always makes sure that he's one step ahead of the game. and that was something that, you know, the first 2 seasons really held that, especially with, like, kind of him hoarding over Superboy, this whole idea of, like, oh, I created you, I'm your real father, and stuff like that. And then season 3, you know, they time jump, and Lex is actually, he's on the United Nations as, like, I forgot what the term is, like, it's like a lead ambassador, like a secretary or something in the United Nations and stuff. I forgot what the actual title is, but he has enough of a power that he actually makes it so that the Justice League cannot interfere in certain like missions if they don't clear it with the UN first. So you have Lex Luthor, who for most part everyone should know is a villain, who now has a government role. He's not president in this version, but he still has a government role where he actually can stop the Justice League from doing something. Add to the fact that he's hoarding over one of the main members of, like, the team, Superboy, with this whole secret of, like, I created you. And there's just, like, there's a calming sense to his voice where it's like, you're an asshole. But you're an asshole that definitely, you know, doesn't feel like, oh, I'm in danger.
Well, for my next pick, you definitely felt that you are in a sense of danger if you were in his presence. Especially if you were a teenage boy.
I knew he was going to be else.
Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey is an awful person.
Yes.
And maybe that's why he was so good at playing awful people. Because he wasn't really acting. It was just go through your daily routine just, you know, in a bald cap and white overcoat. But either way, I liked his performance. It's really hard to say something nice about somebody awful, but, you know, so this part's uncomfortable. But as an actor, he was a talented dude. It seemed like he wasn't 100% trying to replicate Gene Hackman, which is good because while I did like Hackman, he didn't seem like Lex. It was just like a comedy character, you know, like, oh, foiled again. It seemed like he was trying to bring a more sinister and devious, you know, tone to the character, and I thought it worked really well. You had no problem. See, the thing is Lex is a bad guy, and Kevin Spacey as Lex, it's not hard to hate him. It's very easy, as a matter of fact. You know, the way this role was written, the way that he performed it, everything about it, you know, I loved. And for a while, he was actually my favorite Lex Luthor, until I re-examined certain shows and movies, and then I came to think otherwise. Who's next for you?
Who I'm kind of feeling might be on your list, but I have him at this middle point, actually, is John Cryer.
Okay.
Alright. The reason I have John Cryer at this middle point is only because of recentality. My first thought when I heard, like, he was playing Lex was the only reason that really threw me off also was, like, the age-wise. You know, Lex, while being commanding presence, you always see him as, like, this, you know, probably guys like early 30s, at least, something like that, you know. Somebody that, because he's constantly flirting with Lois, you're like, oh, you know, she would go for him and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So seeing an older Lex Luthor, you worried, like, oh, is he...
Wait, you don't think John Cryer could get with Lois?
After seeing him in this role, I definitely feel like this John Cryer could get with Lois. Like,
come on, Alan Harper can't get with Lois, Alan?
Alan Harper? Hell no. But hold on. Shaved head, full black beard, like Lex Luthor. That's the thing. I never thought of Lex with a beard, but John Cryer makes me happy that his Lex has a beard. So there's hope for me playing Lex Luthor in the future. Oh, dude, especially there's definitely hope. He commands this, like, difference. He's not an asshole. He's a manipulator. Right. And well, I mean... No, I mean... I think he's both, personally. He's both. He's very about giving ultimatums and, you know... He's very giving ultimatums. Like, he was definitely a Lex that had a one-track mind. Mm-hmm. Asked him, when will you betray me? Oh, when you stop being of use to me. Because that's Lex. When you stop of use to him, he'll, like, betray you. He'll get rid of you. But he's going to be upfront about it. Like, my favorite line he said in Crisis, Supergirl says, don't trust this man. If you give him a meal, no matter how good it is, you give him a spoon, no matter how good the meal is, he'll stab you in the back, and he says,
or front.
I'm not picking.
Yeah.
Because that's Lex. Your number 2 pick.
My number 2 pick is John Cryer as Lex Luthor in Supergirl. What can you say other than the guy completely redeemed himself? Like, he was originally goddamn Laney Luthor.
Ducky.
Yeah, Ducky. One of the most reviled, inclusions in a Superman movie since Richard Pryor. He was awful in that movie. And in this, his performance completely erased his prior inclusion in Superman.
Destroy Superman!
Like, luckily, I think we can now strike that from the record. I was concerned because it was like, John Cryer, to me, he's always playing mousy characters. He always seems like, more frigidity, shaky kind of person. Like, I was afraid that it was going to be a rehash of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I was like, this is going to be bad. And he completely blew me away. For such a small-framed man, he has a very domineering presence to him, where like you feel like this guy is a legitimate threat, and obviously not by brawn but by brain. This guy is the most intelligent guy in the room 9 times out of 10, and he's very well aware of it. And I always like how his Lex Luthor kind of talks down to, like, the team when he has to interact with them. He kind of, like, he talks to them condescendingly. Mm-hmm. He has the perfect attitude for Lex Luthor, and when I see him as the character, it never comes off as somebody acting out a part. It's him. It seems very natural for him. Like, it's like, this is this man's nature. Since he first showed up, like Cameron Monagher did as the Joker,
yeah,
there's been this vocal clamoring of people, basically being like, we want to see more of this character, why I think he was brought back for Crisis.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's staying around long term now.
Yes.
So, I just think that he's the breakout star in all of this. Like, people praise his performance. And, it's weird because no one saw it coming. This is so different from anything he has ever, to my knowledge, has ever done before in his career. Like this is a complete new character.
True.
Like, he's not just playing bald Alan Harper, like he was on the ranch.
So here's the thing with my next my number 2 pick, because that was your number 2 pick, then my number 2 pick. I went back and forth on this, because I kind of have a theory of what your number picking. I went back and forth on this because I was constantly switching back and forth, and I really had to think of which one I wanted to put higher over the other one. And you may get mad at me, but my number 2 pick is actually Michael Rosenbaum.
Leave my house. No, I'm sick and tired of you. You put Jesse Eisenberg on your list, and you dare cast Michael Rosenbaum in the 2nd place? Well, what kind of person are you?
Now hold up there, Rondell. Okay? So just listen.
We had a goddamn agreement.
Alright. Michael Rosenbaum has played probably one, if not the best, Lex.
That's correct, and that's the end of this video. We're going to end it on a high note here.
I'm the Clown Prince of Crime, and that was the Prince of Personality, the Infuso.
So much so that John Cryer said he was his inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, he said, when they asked, like, what were your inspirations for Lex?
Which
he cited Gene Hackman and Michael Rosenbaum.
Which is interesting, because I don't think a lot of time you hear an older actor, give credit like that to a younger actor as having inspired them.
I feel like Michael gave Lex a bunch of dimensions to him that, you kind of suppose about, because, there's certain comics where Lex and Clark were friends. They knew each other and stuff like that, but then with different paths. So Smallville really explored that. You get to see, Lex Luthor evolving into the Lex Luthor we would know him as, and there's kind of this, you know, the machinations of his father mixed with his own pursuit of identity and finding himself, you know, and there was you always felt in the beginning of the like I was saying, like the first 3 seasons, you felt bad for Lex for the stuff that happened. But it was like in your mind, you're like, I know that he's supposed to be the villain. I know where he's going.
Like
but,
it's predetermined.
But it's predetermined. So like, and then like I remember there was like a story where like Lex is, I think he's like fighting with I forget the character's name, but he was played by the dude from Supernatural, and he's like saying like
the coach.
The coach, yeah, he's like, oh, you know about your friend Clark. Clark? What does Clark have to do? Because, like, he was so oblivious to, like, Clark's, like, nature, and he would always defend Clark, you know? And it was always this thing where Lex was doing stuff that obviously was not good. Seedy, but Lex always had, like, a reason for it. He wasn't evil for like the first like as stuff was moving, but he was doing stuff that was morally gray. But you have Clark, who's this guy who has his moral compass, who is upstanding, and he would immediately, for a long time, in the same thing, a long time he supported Lex and defended Lex to everybody,
right?
And
including his father,
a
lot.
And in the same respect, Lex always would like defend Clark. He's like, Clark's my friend. I will defend him against anything. And I remember, you know, as we got close to right before Lex, I always say like Lex's switch really turned. Like he was full on when he like goes to the fortress and he like breaks it down. But even before we get to that point, you know, they had an argument with each other. And it's like it's a serious argument, but it's also funny in context of the show, where Lex says to Clark, "You're I'm tired of these uninvited walk-ins. You're no longer welcome to the house." Because the way the show worked, like Clark would constantly just walk into Lex's house whenever like the story needed it. So it was funny for Lex to basically say
he pulled an R. Kelly and he fired him from being his brother.
He fired him from being his brother, and that's I think, and that's a good thing. Like they were brothers and whatnot. But no, you go, because I know he's your number 1 pick, so you tell me about the goodness of Michael Rosenbaum.
My number 1 pick, drum roll please, this is very dramatic. Okay, that does not sound like a drum roll. That sounds like something else entirely, and I'm not sure this video is monetized anymore. My number 1 pick is obviously Michael Rosenbaum. And I agree with you with him adding dimensions to Lex's character. It was a very surprisingly humanizing portrayal of the character. And it's almost like the way it was set up was like a Shakespearean tragedy. Like his destiny to become the villain was predetermined, you know? And it was just only a matter of time before he transitioned into full-on dick. But, you know, we got to see who he was before that. It's weird because even from season 1, you know, this is a really... this performance has a lot of depth to it. Because it's like a guy who's wrestling with his own nature. It's like he knows who his father is. And his father's constantly trying to push him, you know, into being more like him. And Lex is trying to pull away from that. And he fears becoming his father so much, which is... of course, what ends up happening to him.
Dad? Be like me. Be like me. Be like me.
Father knows best.
It's almost actually like with Lex and Lionel, it's like a seesaw. You know, like, on one side, here's Lionel, who is outright terrible. And then on the other side is Lex, who's this, you know, seemingly good human being. And just throughout the show, it teeter-totters. And somehow, Lionel ends up getting redeemed, whereas Lex, you know, basically takes his place. It's almost like a Hydra. Lex might be one of the most blatantly evil villains that's ever been created. Like, he's just overall a bad dude. Like, this show somehow convinced you that Lex was an alright guy, dude. And you know what? Like, he was trying. As time goes on, you know, more and more happens to him, and, you know, he's about to get married, and then that doesn't work out, and he's about to get married again, and then it doesn't work out again, and then he kills his dad. So, like, you know, these are all normal things that white people go through, so they did a good job of explaining his origin, and while you can't agree with Lex's actions, by, like, the end of the show, you understand them. You get what drove him to be Lex Luthor. You know, the comic book Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm. You brought up something really important. You said, like, Lex Luthor is constantly seen as the most, like, evil kind of guy put to paper. And
yeah, just like a straight up blatant bad guy.
A blatant bad guy.
Like there's usually no... Because, like, you get characters like Mr. Freeze, or even, like... most of Batman's villains, actually. Yeah, Mr. Freeze, even Catwoman, like they're morally ambiguous. They're not bad guys, but they're definitely not good guys. They're, as you said before, in, like, that gray area.
And stuff. You know, the difference, like even the Harley Quinn series, they bring up the difference between being a bad guy and a bad person.
Right,
you know, like, and stuff like that. But bringing that's why I kind of wrestled with, like, the choices of, like, where to put it, and why my number one pick was Clancy Brown, because Michael Rosenbaum, I agree with you a lot of the points and stuff, and I think it's because I saw that he was trying, and then I saw that there was another way he could have gone. You know, I'm like, you know, he didn't have to be the villain of this story. He's a good player, but he didn't have to be the villain of the story. The reason why I like Clancy Brown as, like, my favorite Lex is because my Lex is someone who's not redeemable. My Lex is somebody who, you know...
Be honest. This is all bullshit. This is really a race thing.
No,
it's because Clancy Brown plays Black Lex Luthor. Whether you want to admit it or not, you can say you think he's Greek. You know that's at least that man looks like Barack Obama. That is biracial Lex Luthor.
Okay, but he is tan at most. You know what? Actually, I can't even be like, name a black person named Luthor. And then I was like, not spelled like that, but Luthor is more of a
usually
black.
Luther. Yeah,
that's a black name.
Martin Luther King. What the hell are you talking? Name a black person named Luther. Okay, one of the most prolific black people in the history of history.
True. But no, Clancy Brown. All right, so, like, when I first watched Superman the Animated Series, and I see Lex, it's like this, you know, schemy business guy who, like, you know, he's able to really he gets in Superman's face about everything all the time and stuff. And then I feel like he excelled the most in Justice League. The first major story in Justice League. What do you get of Lex? Oh, hey Lex, you have cancer. Why? Because you've been keeping a piece of kryptonite near you.
Yes.
And just get Superman
for years, right?
For years, and it's giving you cancer. And Lex, and they're like,
is it super cancer?
No, it's like, for anybody else, you would crumble at the thought you had cancer. What's Lex's first initial response? This is all your fault, Superman. Even though it's not.
If you weren't a Kryptonian.
This is how set in his ways. Goes to prison, forms his own team to take out the Justice League, just to get back at Superman. Lex spends a lot of Justice League. Lex is in jail, and, like, or randomly get out for different plots. And then, I believe,
he gets cured of it, right?
Yes, he gets cured, because around Justice League Unlimited, he decides he's going to run for president. And slowly, he realizes, he's like, oh, my cancer went away. And he's like, oh, it's a miracle. And he's, I believe, fighting with the Question. And he's, like, beating the shit out of him. And it's, like, more powerful than he thought. And you don't understand what's going on. It's basically revealed that Brainiac had, I forgot how it happened, but had somehow gotten inside of Lex. And he cured him of his cancer. And they basically become, like, a hybrid to like have a whole big
He becomes
fight.
brainy Lex.
I love the back and forth with him and Superman because also in Justice League they show the alternate reality where Lex pushes Superman too far that Superman eventually kills him.
One of the first episodes of It's Always Sunny with Charlie getting cancer.
I think, yeah.
It would just be really funny if Superman reacted to Lex having cancer the same way that like they do on the show.
I found out I might have cancer, so we can talk, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, talk.
We can always talk. All right, so it starts out, I'm not feeling good. I'm having headaches.
Did you want to talk, like, right now?
Like it's just Superman's like, oh yeah, no, that's something we should definitely talk about. But first, like,
you gotta go to jail, Lex. And this is the other thing I feel like that worked so well, and like that, like how stubborn Lex was in his like thing. Like I said, he taunted Superman. He knew in an alternate reality he had pushed Superman to the point of killing him. So he knew Superman was capable of that. He taunted him with that, and I mean, Smallville kind of did this similar stuff as well when him and Lex reached that point. But this Superman, because of all the stuff that Lex did, he never trusted him. I remember there was an episode where Captain Marvel is fighting with Superman over the fact that, like, oh, Lex Luthor seems like he's trying to change. And we all know he's not. But Superman got pushed to a point where he's like, I can't trust Lex. I will never trust Lex and stuff. And I feel like there's the fact that they are that polar opposite, that they feel they could never trust each other and stuff. Even down to the final episode of the series, still not trusting each other. And then, that's the final episode of the series, Lex Luthor actually saves the day. Do you remember this?
No.
In the final episode of Justice League, Lex Luthor showed they're all fighting Darkseid.
Justice League or Justice League Unlimited?
Justice League Unlimited, the fact that the greatest villain is the one that ends it. Not Superman. Superman, like, he's punching the Darkseid. That doesn't stop Darkseid. It's Lex Luthor that stopped it. That's how you end that. That, I thought, was, like, a great cap-off to this character who, you know, his obsession, you know, at the end of the day, his obsession is what kept him going and whatnot. And I always felt like that was, like, I agree with you. Michael Rosenbaum had a Shakespearean story, you know, and I think that's the thing. It was a Shakespearean story. It was almost heroic in some sense. But Clancy Brown's Lex was this straight-nosed, like, always villain, always determined villain, and it ended up being that greatest villain ended up being the hero at the end of that, like saga and stuff. So that's why I like him.
So that is our picks for the best Lex Luthor. You know, let us know in the comment section below what you guys think. And please let Alan know that he's wrong about Jesse Eisenberg. That would be very helpful.
I'm the Clown Prince of Crime, and that was the Prince of Personality, the Infuso, or so he says. So if you like the words that came out of his mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the man on Twitter, because it's not stalking if it's on the internet after all. Join the fun by joining the Discord. If for some strange reason you want to show support, and I don't know why you would, and if you have $1 to spare, head over to the SIJW's Patreon, where you can request videos, get exclusive content, and early access to scheduled videos. Or head to his PayPal, where you can buy the shirts. Oh, aren't those lovely? And just remember, if you're not tuning in, you're missing out. Yeah.
Please comment if you want more videos with Black Friend Alan.
You're so desperate for their love. They're not going to love you if you're this desperate. Play a little harder to get. Hey, screw you guys. I don't like you. I don't care if you like me or not. That's why they subscribe.